committee meeting is September 7th, 2022, calling the meeting to order at 4 o'clock p.m. Item number 2, consider a request from 1716 LLC doing business as 1716 Mary Beth. Sorry about that. I just realized that. Yeah. Switching to my phone. Item number 2, review bids received for the procurement and installation of 6 rooftop units for air conditioning, boilers, and 5 controllers for the Centralia Center. And consider recommending the acceptance of a bid and awarding a contract for the project and directing that a resolution accepting a bid and awarding a contract be presented to the Common Council.
So basically, the bids came in last month from 5 different companies. Ron's Refrigeration, or Coolsys, came in the lowest at $308,000. And so I think Sue, that's the one we can go with. She checked everything over and everything looked good. Basically, what it comes down to is we need new rooftop units. We just stuck last week over $7,000 in a new heat exchanger and motor last week. So I think it's time to pull the trigger on doing this project.
Questions? Jake?
So you're only gonna do half of them right now, and I'm assuming that you're gonna save those for parts, the ones that we take off, is that correct?
No, the other ones that we are not doing they're newer, and they're completely different units.
So we can't
So-
use them,
Correct.
okay.
Jake? Mayor Blazer?
Just to let you know, Gordy's here also. He's our HVAC guy for the city. So he's got a pretty good, strong understanding of everything going on up there and the work that's been done and the work he's done and the work that needs to be done. And he likes to talk in public, so.
Jake, what about, what about lead times? Any idea when you'd get them if you ordered them?
I think they were all 52 weeks.
Thank you.
Other questions?
I don't have any questions. I just wanted to say that I did meet with Jake, and the HVAC guy is also Jake? Gordy, sorry, and Shane. And he answered the questions that I had before about lowering the ceiling heights, that they need to keep that. They already do have a false ceiling there. And in order to get their scissor lift in to do repair work, it's at the height that the lowest that it can be right now. Also, the units that are proposed, we're replacing the 6 bigger ones, so the other 6 that are on there are smaller and will not cost nearly as much as this, assuming prices stay the same. So, that's it.
Any other questions or comments?
Who was,
Dean, you can't hear anything?
I can hear you fine, I could hear Matt fine, but whoever was just talking before that was all broken up.
Patrick was saying that all his questions were answered that he had after he met with Jake, Gordy, and I.
Seeing no further comments or questions, how do you want to proceed?
what was the name of the low bid contractor? Jake?
Ron's Refrigeration.
I'll make a motion to accept Ron's bid for $308,000 for the rooftop units at the Centralia Center.
I'll second.
308,000.
All right, got a first and a second. Any other questions or comments? Dennis?
Thank you. I was wondering, I mean, the engineering had it quite a lower price. Why were you so low on it compared to this bid?
Dennis, I don't know, I'm not an engineer. I think just a guesstimation, I would think. I'm not sure how they got their numbers. I think, what they bid, 260, around there?
Oh, 150,000 is what they had bid. So
Oh.
you're doubling that plus. Well, if you don't have the answer,
No, I don't, no.
understand.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
They probably didn't have controllers in there. That could have just been the rooftop units.
Any other questions or comments? We have a motion and a second on the floor. Seeing no further questions or comments, move to vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed say nay. So moved. Item 3, request from the Community Development Department to utilize funds from the department training education account for Wisconsin Bike Federation Friendly Community membership. Kyle?
Thank you, Chairman. There was a memo that accompanied the Finance and Property agenda that described the situation further. In summary, we have again partnered with 1,000 Friends, which is part of Green Tier Legacy through DNR, to do some pedestrian and bicycle audits, if you will, on some of our infrastructure. And part of that program, participation in that program, gives us a $1,500 stipend. We've not identified what to spend that stipend on. Separately, at the same time, we're looking to this year apply for a bike-friendly community through the League of American Bicyclists. And the Wisconsin Bike Federation, I know there's a lot of names here, can provide assistance for that at the tune of $2,500. So we're looking for approval to accept, again, the $1,500 stipend, and then also couple that with $1,000 out of our budget to pursue a partnership with BFC of Wisconsin to apply for bike-friendly status. Thanks.
Questions, comments? Seeing none. Jake?
Is this the item you wanted to speak to?
Please, and then turn on your mic. Then Dean hopefully can hear you.
It's on, right? Test 1, 2. Okay. Regarding the Friends of Wisconsin and the Green Tier Legacy, what would, as I read through here, I'm not sure, because this part I just received today. I received the notice of the meeting, but I just picked up this part today. What is it that you would like to do? Aren't we already a bike-friendly community? What do we lack? We have good paths throughout the city. There are certainly some areas that are always in question when it comes to the ability for a bike rider to feel safe, but some of our certainly our main drags are when I say main drags, I mean our main areas for biking are good. What will be picked up from having a membership with this group? And is it a long-time commitment, a single-use commitment, continuing? Those types of things. How do you perceive it to be going forth? Mr. Kearns?
Would you like me to respond to that? Or you?
Yes.
Okay.
If you could, please. Thank
Just
you.
didn't know if we wanted to take other comment or if you wanted me to respond. So this is very similar to like a Bird City, Wisconsin, or a Tree City, USA. It's recognition as a bicycle-friendly community through the League of American Bicyclists. So if we obtain a status, there are different levels. We can obtain a bronze, silver, gold, platinum. For example, I think Madison is platinum. I think they're at the highest level. Ultimately, it gauges where you're at as a community in terms of how friendly you are to bicyclists, and it rates you, and then it offers areas for improvement to improve your standing. So it'll build on our sense of place, hopefully will attract others to the community and is part of community development in my mind. Ultimately, what the funding will do is help us to obtain expertise in applying for that status. It's a 90-page application to the League of American Bicyclists. It's very detailed and in-depth. It requires us to work with multiple departments, the PD, Public Works, GIS department, to gather all the data and submit it. And so having the expertise of Wisconsin Bike Fed, I think, will go a long way in achieving hopefully a status as a friendly community for bicyclists. So again, we're also looking to couple our $1,000 with a $1,500 stipend that we already have in participating in a program through 1,000 Friends, which is part of Green Tier.
Will that impose any additional cost to the city?
So this is only anticipated to be an annual membership for 1 year to assist primarily with the BFC application. But there are other things that are bulleted on page 1 and page 2 that the Wisconsin Bike Fed can assist with, and we look to take advantage of all those other resources as well. But after 1 year of membership, we do not intend to continue the membership after 1 year.
So you could or could not, depending on what you found to be a benefit or not a benefit to the community.
Right, but I think our intent primarily is to utilize their expertise in applying for bike-friendly status. Once we've applied for bike-friendly status, I would think we'd have a pretty good shot of at least getting a bronze level membership to the League of American Bicyclists, and then we don't necessarily need to partner with Wisconsin Bike Fed anymore moving forward, unless we found other value in the program.
Okay. That answers some of my questions this evening, or this afternoon. Do I need to identify myself? By the way, James Stack, City of Wisconsin Rapids. Some people know me here. Okay, I appreciate your time, and I
welcome.
thank you for that. And the information packet that the aldermen get, is that something I could also have a copy of? Is there a way and you can email it to me if it's feasible. I have just this short meeting information today, but if there was anything more presented to the aldermen, I'd like to have a copy.
I will forward it to you.
Okay, I appreciate it, Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments? Seeing none, how would you like to proceed?
You're welcome. I'll make a motion for community development to utilize the funds, the department funds for training and education for the Wisconsin Bike Federation Friendly Community Membership.
I'll second. Any other questions or comments? Seeing none. Go ahead.
Kyle, so that would be a $2,500 a year membership that we decided to re-up?
That is correct. But again, we're only asking for 1,000 because of the stipend we have already that can be applied to the membership this year. So moving forward, it would be 2,500, yes. Correct.
All right, any other questions or comments? Seeing none, I move to vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed say nay. Ayes have it. Item number 4, initial discussion regarding a city residential subdivision development in the city of Wisconsin Rapids.
Kyle.
Kyle?
One moment here, I've got some handouts. Thank you. So in front of you, you've got two things. You've got a kind of a spreadsheet here outlining potential costs for a city subdivision, as well as a map of a potential location where that subdivision could occur. I first want to start out by indicating that this is in response to receiving a request from a local developer to potentially develop a subdivision within the city. And this area, which is owned by Waterworks and Lighting Commission, was identified as a potential area to pursue a subdivision. After that private developer started crunching some numbers, they found it difficult to cash flow the subdivision based on land values only. And so that kind of prompted us to take a closer look at it, as there's, I think, more value to the city taking the lead here, because we're obviously creating new growth off of any new development in terms of tax base. And there might be other ways in which we could reduce costs if there's participation from Waterworks and Lighting Commission or the Public Works Department to clear and grub and install some utilities. So what we looked at is, again, about a 60-acre parcel. We broke it up into two phases. The map shows the two 80-acre parcels, but you'll see the green dots which represent city wells. So this property was originally, I believe it was purchased by Waterworks and Light for wellhead protection. However, our zoning ordinance permits development of sewered lots within wellhead protection zones. And we've worked with Waterworks and Light to confirm that given their modeling, given the sewered lots here, that there aren't any concerns from their end with regards to any impact on the wellhead area. And so we took a step further to see how many lots we could fit within this area. Again, it's about 60 acres, because if you can recall, along 20th Street South on the left side of the map, that area is slated for a future highway. And so we want to be cognizant of that and maintain a good distance if that project ever moves forward. So ultimately, from the well moving eastward, the furthest west well moving eastward to what would be 28th Street extended is the approximate 60-acre area. And within that area, we can get about 100 to 115 lots. And so in looking at it in different phases, you'll see on the second handout that those phases are broken down. In phase 1, for example, you're looking at 45 to 55 lots, and we've listed price per lot, total revenue. I do want to note that lots vary between a third acre to a half acre, and all these numbers could change significantly depending on how the final build-out occurs of any subdivision, right? If you're increasing lot size, you're getting less lots, potentially getting less revenue, but you may also be reducing the roads and the utilities to serve those lots as well. So again, it's critical that the amount of lots and the efficiency lies in the subdivision development and ultimately how it's configured. As you move down the list, you'll see some additional costs in terms of clearing and grubbing, roadway installation, a rural cross-section, meaning that there's swales, as well as utilities. We don't have numbers on electrical or natural gas yet, or if we had to borrow, what any interest or financing was. We included 6% for realtor and marketing fees, a contingency of 10%, and then the subtotal, which leaves a a number remaining. And then obviously, there's a question mark for price per acre. We have not yet negotiated with Water and Light for any amount that would be due if this were to happen. The reason this is before you here is because I think we're looking to investigate this further. If directed by Property and Finance or Council, and we would provide some more further details moving forward as well as a design, if you agree to potentially funding ultimately a subdivision and the construction of those streets and utilities. With that being said, I'd be happy to answer any questions. I guess I do have one more point. I have spoke to local realtors. Obviously, in community development, we receive a lot of requests and work with a lot of residential developers. I've got figures here on new home growth in the city. I'd be happy to also elaborate on some existing lots and how they've developed, some subdivisions recently. But I fully support, from a growth standpoint, looking at this further, trying to crunch a few more numbers and get a design drafted and together, because I think it is a need in our community. I think historically most of the growth has gone to the townships surrounding us because we've been very limited in our capabilities to grow. And this is really one of the only locations to do so, which is to the east of the city. So again, from a planning and community development standpoint, it is supported, at least to take a closer look at it. But again, wanted to get it in front of you guys for some preliminary feedback. With that, I'd be happy to answer any questions. Thank you.
Questions, comments? Patrick?
My question is so the city is investing this money, buying it from Waterworks and Lighting? Is that what you had explained, or is the developer buying it? I don't understand that part of it.
So if we're to take the next step, we would be hashing out some of those details. Ultimately, this would be pursued as a city-led subdivision, very similar to the, I think it's Sauvignon or Savan on Bowles, which was, I believe, the last residential subdivision the city did on the southwest side of the city back in the late 90s or early 2000s. So again, to be a similar process. In terms of any details or agreement with Waterworks and Lighting Commission, we'd have to still work those out, because I believe they may have utilized dollars to originally purchase this, and they may want something in return for its development.
Okay, so you have a realtor in here at 6%, which I think you have the buyer and the seller. Why are we spending 6%, $100,000 on a realtor?
So we're not spending any money at this point. These are all preliminary figures, and I wanted to include everything as a baseline because then we can work back. So if we include marketing, there's a remaining portion, and if Water and Light says, you know what, we need $300,000 per 40 acres, well, maybe we can cut contingency, we can cut marketing, and we can kind of work backwards to figure out what we need to pay for per acre for the lots. So everything's on the table at this point to make you aware of it, but we do have the ability to be flexible as we move forward.
Okay, my last question was, how many lots in the city are currently undeveloped?
So I don't have the specific number. I do have numbers on nearby subdivisions. So the 21st Street subdivision, I believe, has 4 lots available for sale still from the original developer. There are several more lots that are undeveloped, but they've been purchased with the intent to be developed moving forward. And then to the south of here on Ridgeview Lane, I believe there are 6 lots available for purchase. I do also have numbers on new homes. So I think as we move forward, if this is pursued, I think a build-out in phase 1 of 10 to 15 years is realistic. That's about 6 new homes a year, which is on base for what we've been doing. If you average out the new homes and you use an average for 2020, We're at about 5.4 new houses in the last 5 years, again, using an average for 2020 because we only had 2 new homes in 2020. And I think that's obvious as to why. So I think, 5 or 6 houses per year gives us, again, a build-out of about 10 to 15 years for Phase 1. Obviously, there are a number of other things that affect this, the market, supply and demand, the economy, number of things. Yep.
Do you have any way of estimating what kind of, how this will affect the tax base? Is there a good way to estimate this?
So I think part of the next step would be to put forth a pro forma that says if we grow this subdivision at 5 or 6 homes a year with an average value of $250,000 per home, garnering $7,000 to $8,000 worth of taxes, with a third of that being the city's taxes, what does that look like in terms of build out and new value? So I think we'd put together that pro forma, and anticipating what the growth would be, how much new value there would be in taxes, what the buyback or return on investment would be. But I guess to get you thinking about it, I think that's how we'd factor things in moving forward.
Good, thank you.
Tim, did you have anything on that, or?
Well, I think this is just kind of like what Mr. Kearns is putting forward is like, are you kind of want to entertain the idea of developing a subdivision? Obviously, we got to come back with some more refined figures, return on investment and such. But before we invest, additional staff and analysis into this, is this something that the council would entertain and be interested in going forward? Obviously, with the final decision going down the road as far as budgeting the expenditures and the development of that.
Ryan?
I'll say this is absolutely something I would want to entertain. Obviously, with our budget struggles, adding more tax base is going to do nothing but help that situation. One question I do have, clearing and grubbing is listed as 0. Someone explain that?
So, sure. I mean, if we're going to utilize our crews in the off season, we're already, so to speak, budgeted those revenue or those expenditures throughout the budget. So if we reallocate those expenditures to this project, theoretically, there's no dollars going out, additional dollars being expended because we already accounted for those in the budget. So it'd be a reallocation from one budget to another. And the theory is that in the off season, we'd utilize our crews to do that clearing and grubbing.
So just so I can wrap my mind around this a little better, so in the beginning, we would kind of be taking on the city would be taking on the tasks of a developer to get the program going. So to ask specific questions right now makes no sense because we don't really have any ideas as to how this whole thing would play out. Right now, we just want to know, do we want to continue talking about it? You would find out more information for the next meeting? Is that?
Well, yeah, correct. I mean, there's significant staff time in, so we have a preliminary design. What we've done at this point is we've done a preliminary design, but a subdivision can be designed in a number of ways. And we'd like to design it, obviously, in a way that best addresses the market demand, right? So the lot sizes will fit within a niche, the roads will fit within a niche, so that we're hitting that both price point and the design that's desired with builders and homeowners. But yes, the next step would be to do that. At this point, we have a very rough design, and we've basically, if you look at the back page, we've basically taken these average unit costs for curb, gutter, this is a rural cross-section, curb, road base, road base, water, sanitary, and we've applied it to that basic design that we have. It's a starting point to get some figures on paper. From there, it's a matter of tweaking and bringing design concepts before you that then you could comment on. But I wanted to get this before you first because it's going to involve dollars. It's going to involve an investment on the city's part to fund the roads, the sanitary, the utilities, the electric, the services, in order to start this project. And I'd hate to start designing something and getting into the weeds of things if council is not supportive of, using city dollars or borrowing to fund a subdivision.
So then I could ask this question, is this gonna be like a cookie cutter, left and right, or is it gonna be more of, the elaborate designs that were for a neighborhood?
It could be either.
Could be, so you don't, okay.
Right now, it's very basic, so there's not much, curvatures and roads and stuff like that. The lots are pretty cookie cutter. There are no cul-de-sacs, but as we continue to do some investment or some research and investigations, it may, if that's the market, it may change the design to incorporate some of those things.
Okay, so, because you had said about 250, you're thinking $250,000 a house. So the houses are gonna be, even if it is more, north, south, east, west, there's still gonna be bigger, nicer houses in our vision right now.
That is the intent, and I think what's more certain is that the lots will probably be a third to a half, maybe a little over a half acre. If you look at surrounding communities within the region, that's where their lot sizes are. There is a significant difference between lot values in those communities, Rapids being probably 20% lower, and that's what was difficult for the developer to privately do this and make it cash flow, because we have lower land values in Rapids than even the surrounding communities of Plover, Wausau, Marshfield. So that's why, in comparison, a 3rd-acre lot may cost $30,000 here. In Plover, they're going for $42,000. Wausau or Marshfield, maybe even more. So, it's finalizing those numbers and coming up with the design that we feel as though is best for the community and bringing it back for you, with the understanding that these numbers are general and things will fluctuate and change, but there's still a substantial investment regardless of what the final design looks like.
Dean, you have any questions? Anyone else? So what do you need from us at this point?
I think just, comment, feedback. I don't think there needs to be action. We've heard from a couple alders of support. I mean, if there are any concerns after the meeting, I'd invite you to reach out to our office and relay those. We can sit down and talk about some of these numbers further. Ultimately, again, I want to have a good comfort level as we move forward and invest the time.
Okay, Tim?
Yeah, I think it's similar to like how we developed Woodlands Business Center, and back in the 2000s, we kind of like put this concept forward, acquired land, put in the utilities in the streets, and I think what all Mr. Kearns is asking for is like, development of this proposed, subdivision, residential subdivision. Is it something the council would be interested in pursuing? We're not committing any dollars, but before we put a lot of design and effort into this, just kind of getting a comfort feel from the council. Is this something that in the future you'd be supportive of maybe funding for the development of those subdivisions?
Jay?
I'm in full support of this right now.
Dean? Okay, sorry. Dean? All right. I am also, so that's what you need from us to move it forward to council? All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Number 5, audit of bills. Jay, do you have that by chance? Tim?
We'll catch that up at next meeting.
Okay. Number 6, 2023 budget discussions. I think we're going to be talking quite a bit later. We're probably good for now. Okay. Number 7, set next meeting date. Anybody got that offhand? Holy cow. It's like December 5th, 4 o'clock. 6th, I apologize, it's Tuesday. So December 6th, 4 o'clock, it will be our next meeting date. Item number 8, in open session, the committee may vote to go into closed session under section 19.851E of the Wisconsin statutes, which reads deliberating and negotiating the purchasing of public properties, the investing of public funds, or conducting other specified public business whenever competitive or bargaining reasons require a closed session. So I need a motion to go into closed session.
So moved.
I'll second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed? All right, we'll move into closed session.